Welcome to the Building What Matters podcast. This is a podcast about leadership and community and people that I think are trying to work on making a meaningful difference where they live. In this episode, I sit down with Justin Michal. He's a Republican candidate for Michigan's 1st Congressional District. And we talk about what led him to run for the office, the realities of campaigning across one of the largest congressional districts in the country, and his belief that representation begins with showing up, with listening, and remaining accessible to the people you serve. Our conversation also explores political division, accountability, rural economic pressures, and what it means to work with people whose views may be very different from your own. A quick note before we begin. Building What Matters is my personal podcast, and it is produced independently of NEMSAS Recovery Center, where I'm the executive director. This conversation that I had with Justin is intended to explore leadership, public service, issues affecting Northern Michigan. So neither my participation nor Justin's appearance constitutes an endorsement by NEMSAS Recovery Center, which does not support or oppose candidates for public office. So with that said, here's my conversation with Justin. I want to welcome you to the podcast. Thank you for joining me on such short notice. I know you're in the last quarter mile of your race here in what you're doing. So how are you holding up with all this?
It's an interesting run. You don't know really how to pace yourself when you get started. You don't really know what to expect. It's one of those positions where you think you know how you're going to navigate the space, but you learn, and every day is another experience that you have to put in your toolbox for the next day, and it kind of snowballs, and it seems like it's so far away when it begins because you have roughly 550 days maybe total that you can work with. When I got in, we've now been at 531 consecutive days on the campaign trail. And those aren't short days. I mean, our district is massive, as you know. Yeah. So to get out there and put the effort in that's required, it's a lot of hours, a lot of drive time. We've done over 112,000 miles in the district. Just to give some context, that's 2,820 hours of driving, or 117 consecutive days at 24 hours a day driving. Yeah, so a lot of windshield time, a lot of bugs killed, a lot of car washes.
Yeah, you might hold a record for that.
Yeah, it's. I joked around a couple of weeks ago. I said, I'm going to send everybody a bill for all the extermination that I've done of the bugs in the district. I've made your summer so much better in the last few summers for killing. Yeah, right. But it's one of those things that as you're getting close to the end, you kind of reflect back. You're so mission focused and so driven daily that you take it one day at a time. One thing I learned in my military experiences, especially during training, is just perform the tasks that you're doing right now and don't think about what's happening tomorrow. Yeah. And it's the same mindset that I took into academia. Just get through the class, get through the assignment, whatever it is, and just keep moving forward. And at the end of it, you kind of look back and think, wow, I can't believe I wrote all those pages, or I can't believe that I attended all these events, or that I participated in X, Y, and Z, or that I even drove all those miles. If you told me to the start, you're going to have to drive 113,000 total miles in the district, and you're going to be putting in 18-hour days every day for the next 530 plus days, how are you going to feel about that? If I looked at that, I probably would have said, yeah, I don't know about that. So, the mindset is always going into getting done what you have to do today. And then you say there are people that are counting on you and that believe in you. And so you do it for them. But it could be driving to Menominee from Grayling and back in one day. You have 15 hours of drive time, and you're sitting there thinking, and then I still got to meet with people. I still have to give them my energy and my focus. I have to answer all the phone calls and navigate that space. And when you're doing it by yourself on the road, it's exhausting because you're planning everything. You're making every interview, doing every podcast, responding to every phone call, every text message, every email. You're doing all your graphic work. You're doing your video and film editing. You're doing your social media and content. You're trying to reach out and contact people to see if you can even get on shows or to get on the news or to get on the radio. You're trying to schedule events, meetings. You're going through calendars and saying, oh, this festival is having this. Can I get in a parade? You're filling out the parade forms. And the list goes on and on and on and on. That's not even executing the driving. That's not even writing your speeches. It's not even preparing for the conversations that you're going to have with people.
Yeah.
And and then it's ordering all your merchandise, the stuff that you have. I don't call it merchandise. I guess it's swag, whatever. But it's your hats, it's your t-shirts, it's all your print, it's your signs, getting your signs and putting them out.
Yeah.
And we have huge 4x8 signs out. Those are held up by T-post. I'm the guy out there putting those in at midnight on my drive around the district. So, and we have over 225 of those signs out in the district. So if you can imagine the geographic area that I've had to cover just putting in signs, it's normal to see me at 1 o'clock in the morning driving signs to wake up at 5 o'clock the next day.
Yeah.
And I've had 5 volunteers that have said, we'll go on the campaign trip with you. The longest anybody lasted was 8 days.
Yeah.
8 days. And it's coming because they'll come to you and say, does every day begin at 5 a.m. and finish at midnight? And
It
you're
does.
like, actually, there are some days that finish at 2 a.m. and we get up at 5. But so if you get home at 11, consider that just go to sleep. So, but you've got to put in that effort to show people that you're willing to do the work. And I'm someone that tries to set the example and lead by example.
Yeah.
And hard work, I think, is the backbone of that. Showing people that you're going to work hard, that you're going to set the tone, that you're going to lead by example. Those are the things that matter.
Yeah.
And that's where we're at.
So my immediate thought is like, why go through all of that stuff? Like what got you going in this? What fuels you in doing all that?
A canoe trip on the Asable River. I was floating down the Asable River with some high school friends of mine, and they had a friend of theirs that was there. And as we were floating down the river, they asked me about my background, that general conversation. What have you done? Where have you been? Oh, wow. You're in conflict resolution. You're finishing your PhD. You have an MBA. You served in the military. You were in combat operations in the military. You help veterans. You worked for the Department of Veterans Affairs for 5 years. That's awesome. Have you ever thought about running for office? And you're in the middle of the 2024 election cycle. You're thinking to yourself, this propaganda just isn't resonating with me whatsoever. And you're kind of frustrated because you feel like your voice isn't being heard as a community.
Yeah.
And I said, not really. I don't really like politics. I'm actually really frustrated about how things are going in this country. And they said, well, we think that Congressman Bergman's going to be stepping down this year. This is his last year, and we need a really good grassroots candidate up here. And you're from the district, you were raised here, you understand the nuances, and you have a good background. Would you be interested in getting vetted and do it? And at first I was like, not really, but then you go home and you sleep on it and you think about it and you said, maybe I can make a difference.
Yeah. Maybe
my style and approach to leadership and caring about people and having empathy, being a Republican, maybe that's what the party needs. And then you go to that one statement. It's like, if not me, then who? So, and so you're just like, okay, I waited for other people to step up. They didn't do it. I said, sure. I went and got vetted. I scored the highest in relatability of anyone who's ever scored on a relatability test. Yeah. And I didn't think that meant anything, but relatability is super important in this district because you're meeting people from all walks of life.
Yeah.
And so I said, well, that's cool. I don't really know what that means. They're like, we'd really like you to run for U.S. Congress. And, I was thinking maybe school board, or it's like just something, like county commissioner. I don't know. Maybe state rep, but, I like you, I about spit out my water that I was drinking. I'm like, I don't know anything about running for U.S. Congress. I understand how government works. I've dealt with the government all over the world, whether it's through NGOs or directly engaged with government operations in foreign countries. But you're in a situation there where you realize this is a game you've never been a part of. And every time I've looked at the game, it looks like it's either rigged against you or not going to be something that you want to get a part of because it's so nasty.
Yeah.
And so you don't want to engage in those discussions or dialogue because you feel that people are just going to come after you.
Yeah.
And there isn't anything for accountability purposes, I stand behind anything I've ever said or ever done. I'm not one of those people that you're going to dive into my history and be like, this person's a terrible person, but still you don't want to expose your family or your friends to that type of ridicule. So I got into this. And for me, I said, okay, what can I do better?
Yeah.
What can I do that's different? What's my message going to be? And what can I do that is different? And my message has been pretty simple. I care about people and I'm willing to work with people to get stuff done.
I met you. I mean, I know you're from Grayling, and we're local yokels here, but I think I shook your hand at a parade, and then we became friends on Facebook. And ever since then, I've been following your stuff. For me, how you communicate and listen and engage people of difference to try to get down to the nitty gritty of what do we need to do to make things work. That's attractive to me. That to me sets the stage for, like, I might not align certainly with some political things. I don't give a shit about that. Like, that doesn't matter to me. There's no way anybody's 100% on everything. So, but if I can have someone representing me in the U.S. Congress that I know has at least taken the time to listen to what I've had to say and takes that into account when they go and have to make a hard decision or stand and say, hey, my constituents are saying this. It's not necessarily where I stand, but this is what they're saying and what they need, what we need in my area. So, that to me is, that's powerful, man. I got to be honest with you. I've appreciated, the example, when you say things, when you just said things like, I want to lead by example and I want to do this, I want to be there and show and stay and be present. I think we talked about maybe presence before we hit record, but those things resonate with me beyond the political stance. Like your stance with people, Matt, is more important, it seems like, than your stance on politics. And
it's really hard to represent people if you don't listen to them.
Yeah.
So, and this is something that I learned in college. People often say you don't learn anything in college, but when I was the student rep for graduate student government in my PhD, which is incredible because everybody who is in my PhD has a different viewpoint of politics than I do.
Sure.
And everybody knows it. It's not like I don't. I mean, I'm a Republican runner for Congress, and everybody has to see that when I sign into Zoom meetings or when I'm present. Everyone knows my stances. And I don't do that to throw it in their face. But one of the things that I've always prided myself on is interjecting the counter argument to anything that a professor's ever said. Because I feel like at times professors will often state their inherent bias through their lecturing.
Mm.
And over time, that can really make an impact or influence on the people who are listening because they're only hearing one side of the story over and over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And so whether I agree or disagree with those stances, it's always been something that I prided myself on because I want to push the needle. And there's always a disclaimer that I put out. Listen, at the beginning of class, I'll say, anything that I may say doesn't mean it's necessarily where I stand. It's just that for the point of academia, it's really important to interject the counter argument. So with that being said, I grew this reputation of, wow, I never thought of it that way. And eventually everyone elected me to represent them because they knew that I would go into these scenarios and not have the same perspective when challenging our establishment or embedded professors and deans and the associate deans when change needed to happen, or especially the department chairs. I wasn't afraid to go in there and say, this isn't right. We need to fix it. Well, I had a great idea in my head about what needed to change, the things that I was frustrated about as a PhD student. And I had this list that I had wrote out of all the changes that I was going to make. And my professor, and again, sometimes you learn lessons outside of the curriculum. He sat me down and he said, Justin, these are great ideas, but have you ever had a conversation with the rest of your students that you represent to see what they want?
Yep.
And I go, yeah, but my points are so good. I can't, I got to change,
Yeah.
whatever. And he said, Justin, you're elected to represent people. Like, you have great ideas.
Yeah.
But maybe that's not what they want you to focus on.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, but you don't understand. He goes, no, you don't understand.
Yeah.
To represent. Think about that. And I'm like, and he left it. He didn't push me.
Mm.
But I had to make a decision. And at the end of the day, I realized, you know what? You're right. This isn't about my dreams, wishes, ambitions, whatever, my vision of utopia in the university. And that's the same thing that I use every day when I'm out on the campaign trail. Justin, what's your agenda? Whoa, time out a second. What's your agenda?
Yeah.
Well, what do you mean? What's my agenda? Well, you've been institutionalized to think that someone that's elected is going to just set the tone for you and you're going to have to follow suit. And there's this internal feeling of anger inside of you because you feel like nothing they're talking about resonates with you. You're like, why are we even dealing with this when I can't put food on the table? Why are we talking about these social issues when they have nothing to do with our district? That's the feeling you have. And the reason that is because you've never had an input on the agenda itself.
Yeah.
You're being told what the agenda is. You're not able to influence the agenda. And I think that's wrong.
Yeah.
The goal is to get as many people involved in the process as possible. And I don't think people understand how much power they actually have, how important voting really is. It's something that people have forgotten, and it's so important. The only way to trump money, corruption, greed, power struggles, power dynamics is to get out, find a candidate that you support, and go vote for them.
Mm-hmm.
Give these people support. And then again, I just care about people. If you've got solutions to complex problems, if you're an expert in a field that we're trying to fix, come out of the woodwork.
Yeah.
Get off your ass.
Yeah.
And make a difference. And I'm not saying that to be rude. I'm saying there are existential threats to our government, our society, and our lifestyle that we need to address. Things are changing, and they're changing very fast. They're evolving at a rate and speed we've never seen it happen before in the history of American politics, or just even in the growth and development of our nation. And we've got to find a way to come together and have discussions. I don't care what side of the aisle you come from. If you've got something of substance to give us to help this country, please show up.
Yeah.
Just do it respectfully.
Yeah.
I understand there's emotions and anger and all these things from years of abuse between both parties. We both failed. And acknowledging that is important. You're never going to get anywhere in a conversation if you don't acknowledge your wrongdoings first. Yeah. And by acknowledging them, it's just not saying, oh, I'm sorry, and moving on. It's really embracing the fact that we made mistakes. We've done some things. We could have done them better. We need to be better people. We need to be a better party.
Yeah.
If we're going to stay in a two-party system, it's time to accept our failures, embrace them, and say, you know what, we're going to do better. And then do better. Yeah. Not just tell people that you're going to make these changes. We've got to move away from that. And for me, they always say, you're going to be this young whippersnapper that gets there and they're going to tell you what you're going to do, you know, and you're going to have to sit there and take it.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. So
yeah, sure. I mean, that's a concept, right? Yep. I guess I could show up there and just take my licks and just sit on my hands and say, okay, I guess this is how it works. Or I can say, you know, your system hasn't worked for a long time. And I know that in your little bubble here in Washington, D.C., you think everything's hunky-dory because everybody's paying you and you're living the good life. But the reality of the situation is everybody else is suffering, at least in my district. Yep. You know, there's a couple pockets of affluency, so I don't want to call them out in this, but most of the people are really struggling. They're not living their best life.
Yeah.
And they're not living the dream, as they say. I mean, they'll say that, but they're really more living the nightmare. And we've got to find a way to change that. And we're not going to do that by staying status quo.
Yeah.
And it may be tough. So be it. I'm just going to keep working. If you guys don't think that hard work matters and you're impressed by a bunch of money getting dumped into a race by somebody that you think is better and that's going to work harder than you, so be it. The same thing with this election. If you're impressed by money, I'm not your guy.
Right.
Because I'm not impressed by money. I don't ask you for money. We need it. It's expensive. Gas is not cheap. Everybody knows it.
Yeah.
Driving around this district isn't cheap. The wear and tear on the vehicles isn't cheap. But if you're impressed by the money, go vote for somebody else. But if you're impressed with someone that shows up to your community, and I've been to every town, village, city, and township in this entire congressional district, I'm the first person to ever accomplish that feat. Ever. So
that's crazy. I mean,
yeah, if you want somebody to show up, but if you want somebody to show up who says they're going to show up, and does show up, not someone that's just like, I'll be there for you, I'll fight for you, and when I get to Washington, D.C., it's going to change. If you're impressed by those words of the commercials have never solved any world problems. Do you know how many commercials I watched when I was trying to resolve problems in Africa or the Middle East? None, because I didn't have time to do it.
Yeah.
Because there were more pressing issues than watching television or listen to the radio. Conversations don't happen when you're sitting on the couch watching TV. So you got to get out there and make it happen. And that's the only thing that you can do if you want to show people that you care, is show up.
Yeah.
And show up not when you're invited to go speak at an event, which I've spoken at 180 some of them. Not fundraisers. I've done over 100 town halls. I think over 130 town halls.
Wow.
In 500 days. I'm talking about showing up when people least expect it. When you show up at their home, or they send you an email and you say, give me a call. And they're like, seriously? Yeah, give me a call. Whatever. You wrote me a lot of questions. You might as well have a conversation.
Yep. Yeah.
Or showing up at their business or whatever it is, just being present. Yeah. Or when they need you because they don't feel comfortable in the situation and they're like, hey, we have this township meeting and I really don't know how to present these. Can you help me?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're like, yeah, you take the emotion out of the argument, stick to the facts, make sure that you're focused on what's going on, look at policies, look at procedures, look at zoning. And you highlight those things. I don't know these people.
Right.
I've never met these people in my life.
Yeah.
But they'll call and they'll reach out and I'll give them the best advice that I can give them. Because that's what you're supposed to do. That's how you show that you're present and that you care.
Yeah.
You don't drive by the person who's stuck in the ditch. You help pull them out.
Yeah. 100%. And
that's not just a statement. Like, you can go on my Facebook and you can watch the videos of me pulling people out of the ditch.
Yeah.
Or showing up at midnight, helping a veteran who has mental health issues or whatever. Like this, the people write this story. I don't write the story. I'm just present.
Yeah.
I'm able to pull people out of the ditch because I'm present at 2:00 in the morning on Thanksgiving. We got that snowstorm blizzard in Thanksgiving and I pulled the guy out of the ditch. I was like, you stay right here. I'm going to drive home, get a tow strap and I'll pull you out. Nice. And he's on North Down River Road at the S curves, right before you get to McMaster's, no one's coming at 2:00 in the morning.
No.
So, I just happen to be there, but that's what we do up here. That's the ethos of the people in this district.
Yeah.
And I try to highlight that every day, everywhere I go. I'm proud of being from Grayling. I live in Levels, but I'm proud of it.
Yeah.
There was a point in your life where growing up in Grayling, there's this kind of the shame, because you're a small town and people look at you like, oh, you're from Grayling, you're not from Gaylord or you're not from Traverse City or, there's this stigmatism that comes with being from a small town.
Yeah.
And for a long time, I tried to run from that, but I don't run from it. I'm old enough now to embrace the fact I loved my childhood. I loved growing up here, playing, in the Asabo and Manistee River, being out in the woods with my buddies, playing paintball and building tree forts and doing those things, skipping school to ride your bike, like that's something that I really appreciate looking back on the things that I learned and just the values and how hard work matters to people here and how your name and what you do matters more than what you have.
Yeah.
Those are the greatest gifts that I was given as a child, and I didn't even realize it. It took me 20 years and a lot of hard work to realize that this is a place that great things happen.
Yeah.
And if you're blessed and fortunate enough to be able to raise your kids up here and raise a family, and that's why you look at opportunities to bring stuff back here, to really grow and build a new form of culture and excitement in our district. That's what we want to have, but we want to make sure we're doing that and not taking away from the beauty that we have,
Yeah.
taken away from the lifestyle that we've grown so accustomed to live.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are nervous about that up here because you've got, there's tension right now with what's happened with national parks and different things. And then you have the tension of AI data centers and what's happening with all that going on. And there's a lot there that when you started talking about the childhood and living up here and all those things, I thought, man, now I feel like an ass for bitching all the time about how terrible the winter is up here because I moved back to Grayling in
No, it's still terrible.
2013. It is still terrible.
It's still bad. Let's be fair.
I'm always like, why do I live here? And then you start going through those lists, and I'm like, oh yeah, man, I just spent 3 days on the Manistee. I'm spending a week on the Asable coming up. Like I love backpacking
but even
and
in the
hiking around
winter,
here.
you can go cross country skiing too, snowshoeing, whatever. I mean, if you live up here, you have all that stuff, even if you don't use it.
Yeah.
And go in my garage right now and be like, there's the cross country skis I bought for the 6 times that I've used them. You have all this stuff, but and all the outfits to go with them. But if you're able to have those things, you can enjoy winter too. Yeah, it's brutal.
Oh, yeah.
You got to go outside and shovel and pay for snow removal or remove the snow yourself with the snowblower. Maybe you're on wood. You have to buy wood. I mean, I have wood and fuel oil here. It was an expensive winter.
Man.
But it's tough, but it's manageable if you have the right people around you and you can do some things and enjoy it.
We talked yesterday for a little bit, and one of the things you said to me was that you said something along the lines of maybe not making America great, but Americans great. Something along those lines.
Yeah, America first versus Americans first. I think we've really fallen short on the message. America's only great because of Americans.
Yeah.
Period. And anyone who's ever been abroad and seen the work that Americans do abroad to make this world a better place, we carry that tradition in our hearts.
Yeah.
And then when we're home, we interject it in our country. It's the people of this country that make America great. And we need to focus on making Americans great.
Yeah.
And that's through education. It's through how we have decency with each other, the conversations that we have, the direction we want to go in, the value structure that we need to create, all these things. We can all be better, and we should strive for that. This should be a meritocracy, meritocracy.
I like that.
Yeah, but it should be one of those things that we should focus and strive to be the greatest that we can be. We had once the greatest generation, and now we don't have that.
Yep.
And we should want and strive to continue that.
Sure.
And understand how important taking care of yourself, holding yourself accountable, and then moving forward to do other things can be. And
like what good is it if you get your politics correct, but you've left the people behind? Like it doesn't, it doesn't do anything. I think, to quote Jesus, who said, like, what does it profit a man if he gains the whole world, loses his soul? Like, what are you building on if you're not building with people? Like, you're just building something that's, I don't know, it's just going to wash away, man. That's one of the reasons why I've enjoyed listening to the things that you say and following the campaign that you had, because you put people first.
Every day. And my reputation, I hold that with honor and dignity, my namesake.
Yeah.
I don't want my mom to have to suffer from things that I've done. So my whole life, I've tried to hold myself to the highest standards. And I find it interesting when people get out of their way to try to disrupt that. That's the nasty part about politics, and it's unfortunate. Focus on what you're doing, the work you're putting in, where you stand, how you're going to make an impact, what you're doing to make an impact today.
Yeah.
And people talk all the time about what they're going to do. No. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Show me what you're doing and show me how that's different than anybody else that's here.
Yeah. I snoop your comments and stuff, and I read through certain things, and I've always appreciated that, you direct it right back to that. It's like, hey, thanks for commenting, but like, what are we doing about this? Like, what's the solution here? Like, how do you want to work on this together? And the people that really want to do something like that, they engage. The other ones, they got no response to that. Like, you were canoeing down the river and said,
yeah, let's run and go. Listen, we're not perfect. We've made mistakes. We continuously make mistakes. Maybe that's why change needs to come. But in addition to it, having somebody that can recognize that builds trust with people, because they know that you're not just going to point the finger of blame at everyone else before you look at yourself in the mirror.
yeah,
And that's the one thing that I hope to be able to bring. Listen, we're making mistakes. We're not doing anything. We need to do something. I'll be a loud voice. I may not be effective,
yeah,
but I will be a respectfully loud voice when I get to Washington, D.C. And I think that that's important. We've made a difference, a lasting impact and difference in this congressional district.
yeah,
And we've done that through hard work, showing up, being present, being caring and considerate, having empathy, and showing that you can be present. And that's all we can do. That's all I can do. That's the only thing that I have in my ability. I don't have the money. I can't put out the propaganda. I don't want to put out the propaganda. This isn't about yard signs and bumper stickers.
yeah,
People call me, email me, do whatever you want to do. I'm here. I'm available. And I just like how people try to make mountains out of molehills. Makes me happy. You see the stuff that people say, and for the most part, there's a lot of positivity on our pages. We don't get a lot of negativity.
yeah.
And
I
most
would
of the
agree.
negativity comes from trollers. It is what it is. And you just laugh about it.
Yeah. Well,
Nobody wants to do this job. I promise you that.
no,
You have two types of people. You have the people that want to get work done and make an impact and a difference for this country. And you have the people that want to benefit from the perks that you get from being there.
yeah,
Those are your two types of politicians.
yeah,
The ones that want to get work done and the ones that want to abuse the system because they're going to get kickbacks.
yeah,
That's it. There's
yeah.
no in between. There isn't the guy that's like, well, I really want to get stuff done, but I also like the kickbacks and the perks. It's one or the other.
Yeah.
And so when you're in this scenario, the reason why people have to campaign so hard immediately after getting elected
Yes, because they did.
is because they're getting the kickbacks. They got to convince you through propaganda. They got to spend $2 million to convince you of why they need a job that pays $174,000 a year. So my goal is to say, listen, I'm not going to campaign. I'm just going to be out in the community working.
Yeah.
You're going to see me. You'll be able to talk to me. Maybe you'll say, wow, I met my congressman.
Yeah.
Well, he's out here working.
Yeah. Well, for me personally, I've appreciated, getting to know you and listening to you and knowing that you're going to listen to me personally and figuratively.
I don't ask anybody for anything. I hope that I tell them that. I hope that I earned your vote. But at the end of the day, you decide what you want to do.
Yeah.
The numbers are going to tell. And I've accepted the outcome no matter what it is. The people say, well, what if you don't win? I've already won. I get to sit on your show and talk to you about things that are important, tell you about my journey and experience. You know that you can call me anytime and reach out and I'll have a conversation. I'll see you I won't forget who you are in 5 years if I'm not even in politics. Right. I'm like, hey, what's going on? And those are the lasting relationships that you try to build with everybody that you meet. And you wish you could meet more people, but people just don't come out or they're not engaged. They don't care. But that's something that's really important to me, is making sure that you're making authentic relationships, communications with people, and making sure people understand that you're there and that you just want to be a part of their communities and want to make their life as best as you can make it. If you can impact somebody, and it doesn't necessarily mean financially, like you said, you're in recovery stuff. Sometimes it's just what you say to people that inspires them to be better. And sometimes what people say to you inspires you to be better.
Yeah.
And that's,
100%.
and that's something that you just, if you've ever been in a role where people look up to you or they respect you for the work and accomplishments that you have, you know how important it is. And I do this every day, not for myself, but when you look at the next generation that's coming up, those kids, you want to make sure that they have every opportunity possible to succeed. Even if we don't, you want to make sure that they do.
Yep.
And right now, I can't say that that's a a truth. I, I'm looking at some of these existential threats and saying, I don't know what the future holds for these kids. And it's terrifying because they're good kids.
Yeah.
And it's not their fault. And we've got to do a better job of figuring out how to navigate that space. I mean, we're talking the next generation really concerned about what they're going to do. They're not buying in. And we've got to figure out a way to inspire them. We got to show them that there is light at the end of the tunnel. We got to give them hope. And the only way to do that is to be present and to lead by example. And I don't have all the answers. I wish I did. I wish I had a crystal ball that I could rub at the cabin and fix all this stuff. I definitely wouldn't be running for Congress if that was the case. I'd just do it and then,
Yep.
go on living my happy life. But the importance is acknowledging the fact that we have problems, and then acknowledging the fact that one person or one party isn't smart enough to fix it, and that it's going to require the best and most brilliant minds, not only in our district but in our country,
Yeah.
to fix these things. And it starts with dialogue and discussion. But that dialogue has to be transparent and it has to be honest.
Yeah.
And if it's not, we're not going to get anywhere. And we haven't gotten anywhere. For 25 years, we've been sitting around doing nothing. We've been fighting wars and spending money and throwing everything we can at everything, every problem. And it's just a temporary Band-Aid. And you can't look for a temporary solution for a permanent problem. And so you either move forward and you start fixing it, or you just fly off the cliff. And I'm getting really sick and tired of sitting in the airplane and having the pilots telling me we're okay. And I'm like, no, I'm looking at the gauges and we're in a decline. And I know you can't see out the window, but we're about to hit the ground.
Yeah.
And them saying, I've been flying for 45 years. I got flight shoes older than you, son. And you're just like, yeah, I get it. But you might want to look into this. And so we're trying to do everything we can. I try to do everything I can. Other people like you trying to get messages out there, doing everything you possibly can to make an impact and a difference. And again, you hope that people listen.
Yeah.
If they don't, then that's on them. But you really try hard to do what you can do. And I can only do what I can control.
Yeah.
I can't control the actions of other people. I can't control the actions of the people. I can't control the actions of the voter. And I don't want to. That's not the process.
No,
like I don't want to say bad things about people. I don't want to get out there and do things. All I want to do is be myself and hope people listen. And if that works, it works. And if it doesn't, the votes are going to tell at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And it's going to determine what my future is.
Yeah.
You know how scary that is, though, to think about? I have no idea what the outcome is going to be on August 5th.
Yeah. Yeah. I was just thinking about that. Like, what
an
are you
entire
doing?
district. Yeah. An entire district is essentially going to determine my next steps in life. And that I'm when people say to me, Justin, well, you're running for office, you're doing this for yourself. I'm literally putting my entire life and fate in the hands of strangers.
Yeah.
Who does that?
Yeah.
Well, I left my job. I left all my friends. I left academia as a full-time investment, and to come back home and give my entire life for 530 days
to
the people of this district, and said, you choose my fate.
Yeah.
You do it. If that's not the most selfless thing that you can do, I don't know what is.
Yeah.
I've given you guys my life, everything, all my money, my savings, everything that I have given to you. And I've done it every single day to try to show you that I care. I've invested my life into this district for you guys to decide my fate. And you got people that will go online and just badger you and belittle you. Like you're just like, okay, if that makes you feel better.
Yeah.
Do it with dignity and grace. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, you learn and you move on. And so we'll see what happens. Rolling the dice, August 4th.
Yeah. Get out and vote.
That's it. Yeah. And there's not a person in our community that isn't proud of the work that I put in. And that means more to me than winning the election.
Yeah.
If you really want the truth. And you start thinking about that and you get a little bit of emotional.
Yeah.
Just thinking about like the impact that you have in your community. But one of the things that I set out to do was put Grayling on the map. When I go out and speak to people in our district who maybe haven't been here, always saying that I'm proud of Grayling. I'm proud of growing up here.
Yeah.
And I mean that. And it's nice when you're walking around and you see people you haven't seen and they say, you know what, you're doing a great job. And I'm doing a great job because I want to represent Grayling.
Yeah.
Because we are from a small town. And just because you're not from a big town or you're from a small town doesn't mean you can't do big things. Win or lose, you can still do them. You can still show up in the arena and you can fight.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter about the spectators. You know, the man in the arena is a great thing. It doesn't matter the people who are bickering from the stands. You're the one that puts the helmet on and grabs the sword and goes out there and says, I'll fight.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I can say that. And I'm proud of it. And I will paint Grayling on my chest and beat a drum and say, listen, you know, we're Vikings.
Yeah.
Right?
Here we are.
So we're out there like,
yeah.
I don't care what you are, dude. So we'll see if it happens now. We'll see what goes on and we'll move forward. But
yeah.
I really appreciate your time.
Yeah.
Today.
Man.
Thanks for having me on the show.
No,
Thanks for being
awesome.
so kind and willing. You know, thank you for the voice that you are, not only in the community, but for people who are struggling and trying to change their life. Thanks for the work you do. It's so instrumental. And thanks for being open and willing to just hear a different perspective. I think that's what this is all about. And like I said, I hope that our friendship and conversations continue. You're one of those intellectual people that often come at things with a different viewpoint, and you challenge the norm and you challenge the narrative from a perspective of intellect. And we need more people like that.
Yeah.
It's never about putting people in a box. It's just about understanding what's inside the box.
I agree. 100%.
So I thank you for that.
Well, thank you for the same. And likewise, I appreciate it. Well, and good luck. I know that you're in the people's hands, and but I look forward to seeing the outcome. And
God bless you, man.
Yeah, take care, Justin. Thanks again for joining me.
Awesome.
See you later, man.
Yep.
This episode is not an endorsement of any candidate, and the views expressed by my guest are his own. I brought Justin on because I felt like the way that he interacted with the constituents in our area and how he conducted himself paralleled a lot of the things that I talk about here. So I didn't bring him on for his politics. I brought him on because of how he interacts with people. And for me, that's building what matters. If this conversation gave you something to think about, then I would love for you to check out more Building What Matters. You can do so on YouTube, or you can listen on whatever podcatcher you choose. You can also share this episode with someone who values thoughtful conversations across political spectrums. So until next time, keep listening, and keep asking better questions, and keep building what matters. Stay in the pocket.